Inventory has jumped 56%. So why aren't home prices falling? If you want to find out on this month's update through the end of May 2026, what's happening in the Boise market, then watch the rest of this video. Okay, that is a shocker. Inventory's up 56%. What are we talking about? So we were at 692 listings at the beginning of this year, and now we're at 1,080. So that is a 56% increase. So while that is a 56% increase, you might be wondering, why are home prices not falling? Well, the reality is that home prices, which I'll show you right now, are essentially flat. We're basically down slightly, year over year, but effectively we're pretty much flat. So what's happening here is we are seeing an uptick in demand that is actually keeping pace with what's happening in the market itself. So while we are up to 1,080 homes, we took 784 pending in April. We took 760 pending in May. So while the inventory is increasing, the buyers are actually coming out and absorbing a lot of that inventory still. Now, this is the first month where there might be a little teeny tiny fracture. I'm not going to say crack, but a fracture, like a hairline crack maybe, in the narrative here. So when we look at this data, you can see active listings went up, but pendings went down for the month over month. So could that show that we might be in a scenario where things are starting to shift? Possibly. Here's what I think is happening. And then I'm going to show you the months of inventory that are available and the two different markets that we have. So one of the things I think is happening is that buyers and sellers both are finally coming to the realization that these rates are just the way it is. There's no longer this rate shock where people show up and they talk to a realtor or a lender and say, oh my gosh, the rates are at 6.5. People know they're at 6.5 and they have to transact anyways. Never forget, there are many reasons people buy and sell real estate, right? There's death, there's divorce, there's diapers, right? Going into diapers maybe. There's brand new babies, right? Coming in diapers that way. There's diamonds, people getting married, the D's of real estate, if you will. People aren't waiting to get married for when interest rates are right. People aren't waiting to die for when interest rates are right. So people are going to transact. And I think the more normal that these higher rates have become, it's just easier for people to understand, like, yep, here's the market. Let's go buy. At least there's something for them to look at. So what are the actual absorption rates that are available? So what we're looking at here is really the months of inventory. And if you come down essentially, up to 800K, you're less than 2.5 months supply. But we have these two different markets that are happening. If you are listing or buying a home under, let's just say, $800,000, you're probably selling the home quickly if it's priced correctly. And if you're buying, the best deals, right? The things you like, other people probably like them too. So you might even be seeing competition. In fact, we're seeing multiple offers in some of those instances. Now, if you get up over that $2.5 million price range, you have 8.7 months of supply. So take a peek at this. There's 40 active homes, and there's 55 sold in the last 12 months. That means it takes 8.7 months to sell through that supply. Now, that number is actually not even totally true, because a lot of those sold in the last 55, a lot of those 55 that sold in the last 12 months were actually pre-sold, meaning someone said, hey, I want this lot and I want you to build this house, and then they closed on it, and they weren't actually specs, whereas most of these 40 are going to be spec homes. So that month's supply could actually be closer to like 15, 17, 18 months. If you had $2.5 million that you were going to spend buying a home, you might want to choose the exact home you get. And that's what a lot of these people are doing as well. So there are two markets out there. If you're going to get in that higher end luxury market, you should be prepared. That's going to take a little bit more time, and you're going to have to get that home priced properly. And then, of course, if you're a buyer in that market, you should have someone in your court that's going to negotiate on your behalf. So, yes, inventory is up 56% since January. No, prices have not been falling. In fact, I would say our market is at the very extreme, if you will, just normalizing. We are seeing more and more people that are used to the rates that we have. There's not that rate shock. And we are seeing a lot of demand being driven from the nearby states. There's policy changes happening in Washington, Oregon, and California that many people don't like, and they're still choosing to move to the Boise area. In fact, here's a fun one I just read about the other day. I haven't dug in super deep on this, but the city of Spokane, Washington, effective June 1st, was requiring landlords who own rental properties, before they could evict a tenant for not paying, the landlord has to go to a class. That's an interesting change. A lot of people don't want to be told what to do with their property or how they should do it. And we're seeing a lot of those people who maybe don't even own investment properties there, just not wanting to live in that area. What do you think is driving all the demand and growth in the Boise area? You can put it in the comments below. Hope you enjoyed this. Of course, if you have any questions about market or data, or you want any of this information, you can get it from your favorite City of Trees real estate agent. It does matter who you work with. Make sure you interview agents. It doesn't cost you anything other than maybe a little bit of time, and you can get someone that knows what they're doing. So if you're looking to buy, it matters. It really does, because not only is there all the homes you can see on Zillow and other agents' websites, but there's off-market properties that agents can bring to you as well. And the best agents know how to find you the property you're looking for. And then, of course, when it comes to selling, you want to maximize your profit. So interview your favorite City of Trees real estate agent in addition to the other agents you already know. And then, of course, go forward with confidence. So hope you enjoyed this update. We'll be back early July with your 4th of July update. That's a mid-year review. So we'll see you soon.